guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel again. Today I'm going to start my sleep training process with Ava. Now, I've been very nervous about it just because I tried it the first time when she was a few months old. I think she was 4 months old to be precise, and it didn't go too well. I ended up giving up after 30 minutes because she was hysterically crying, and that was it. Just to give you a bit of a understanding of how we're sleeping now, we are co-sleeping, and I'd never thought I would say that I'm a co-sleeping parent because I was so against it when I was pregnant, just from the horror stories I've heard from people suffocating their babies and things like that. But when you're tired and you know your baby's going to sleep when she's sleeping in your bed, you just end up doing it because it feels like the easiest thing to do, and it's so difficult to just be strict with it. Now, I think it will come to a point where Ava will sleep in her own bed, but I'm just very nervous about the whole thing. I hate the sound of Ava crying, as she rarely cries anyway. She's such a good baby. At the moment, Ava is not sleeping good either. I am still breastfeeding, and she probably wakes up between 3 and I'd say up to 7 times in the night. I don't feed her all of those times, but she'll either feed on me or she will give me cuddles and fall back to sleep, which I end up falling asleep with her on my chest. I know it's not right, but that's what happens, and then I end up putting her next to me, and it's just getting to the point now where we're so cramped. Like, me and Bailey are like squished in the corner, and Ava has most of the space, even though she's such a tiny little thing. She takes up most of the space, so we really need to, it's got to the point now where I've had enough, and so today is the day I'm going to try it. Now, I'm kind of doing a Ferber method, but mixed with my own sort of method as well. I know that the Ferber method is quite strict. Now, what I'm going to do is, week 1, I'm going to lay next to Ava so that I'm still in the room, but I'm not going to interact with her unless she just spits her dummy out, which I'll just put it back in. I'm just going to lay next to her so she knows I'm there and let her fall asleep. Week 2, I'm then, depending on how it goes in the week 1, the week 2, I will then walk out the room and just leave her to self-soothe. So I think the self-soothing part is the bit that's getting to me the most, because she was never taking a dummy before, whereas now she's starting to use it a bit more. So I'm hoping that it works, and then in the week 3 is when I'm going to try and sort out the night situation, so waking up in the night, because I think that's the hardest bit for me, because I'm asleep and knowing that when she's awake and crying, I can't sleep. So if she wakes up 5 times in the night, it's going to be really difficult for me to stay awake. I'm just going to be exhausted, but it needs to happen. I apologise that I'm a mess right now. Today has been one of those really busy cleaning days, so I haven't actually had a chance to like get myself ready to make myself look a bit more presentable for you guys. But so today is the first day that I've tried the method of sleep training that I'm doing. Today, the first one took 35 minutes. And the second one took 20 minutes for her to fall asleep. As you can see from the time lapse, I actually have to lay next to her because she spits her dummy out so many times, and when it comes out she starts crying again. So in a way, I kind of had to put the dummy back in. She cried for probably half the time in both of those. It wasn't an awful cry, it wasn't like really upset cry, it was just a whinge because she was tired. But I figured out the most important thing is to make sure she's not overtired when I put her down. So I need to make sure that my timings are right with her naps and her bedtime, and she should be okay. We are running a little bit over today. I don't really know why. I think it's just, like I said, it's just been one of those days. I will feed back to you, and I'll try and record throughout the week to explain what's going on and how she's doing. So I've just put Ava down. She's had her 7-ounce bottle, and she's just here. As you can see, she's quite awake. I don't know how long it's going to take for her to fall asleep, but we'll soon find out. Hello, just a quick update on last night and today. Ava was amazing last night. She went to bed within 20 minutes of being put in her bed, and she was perfect. She did not cry once and went to sleep. And then, to my surprise, which I was not expecting at all, she didn't wake up until 3:30. She actually went 7 hours without a feed, without waking up, and I was so shocked at that. So I'm fingers crossed she does that again tonight, but I don't know if it's just a one-off. We'll soon see. She's really been surprising me with how she's been so far. I didn't in a million years think this would happen. I thought I was really going to struggle with everything. So I actually think that it's best to wait until you feel comfortable and you know that they're ready to be sleep trained, because when I tried it 4 months, I just don't think she was ready yet. She still was very attached to me. And I'm not saying she's not attached to me now, but I feel like she's old enough to be left on her own and not worry. I was speaking to Bailey's mum today, and she was saying to me, the older they get, the more aware they are that you're not there. So I don't know whether my logic isn't right, or I just think it's best to wait until you feel comfortable and you know that they are ready to be sleep trained. Today was a different story because I had a funeral today. The whole routine has sort of been messed up. So her naps haven't been sleep training naps, as I like to call them. They've been like out and about sort of naps and with family. Today hasn't really been a sleep training day, but tonight I put her in her bed and it took her 30 minutes to get to sleep, but she didn't really cry. She had a couple of whinges because her dummy kept falling out, but that was it. She was asleep again. Hi guys, it's day 4 now, but I'm going to talk about day 3 and night 3. Last night was not a good night, and yesterday we were a bit out of sync. We have managed to stick to it better today. Last night was a nightmare, I think because of the routine was out in the daytime. I just don't think she was in sync, and she ended up being in our bed half the night, which was my fault. I shouldn't have given in, but I was so tired. So yeah, we just got to try again. I hope it hasn't affected her and that now she wants to be in our bed every night, but it's not going to happen. So yeah, so today has been better. The first nap, she naps in 15 minutes with no cries, and she napped for about half an hour. The next nap, she napped for about half an hour again and went to sleep within 10 minutes and no crying. She did little murmurs, but she's just been so good. It's just not what I expected at all. But I'm going to start to leave the room a bit more now. It is Ava's first nap time this morning, and I'm not going to leave her here, but I just put her here for now while I dried my hair, and I'm going to transfer her into the other room in a minute, and we're going to start the timer to see how long it takes. Obviously, she has been sat here with the dummy in her mouth for a little while, so it's probably making her a little bit sleepy. You ready for your nap? Yeah? I've noticed in the last few days she's become so much more fidgety, and it's really annoying because when you're giving her a cuddle, she fidgets so much, and then when she's going to sleep, her legs literally don't stop. It's like restless leg syndrome. Right, so I'm going to move her into the other room now and put her in her bed, give her a kiss, and I'm going to lay next to her for half the time and the other half the time I'm not going to lay next to her, just to see how she reacts. Bailey is actually in bed still, so technically there is someone still next to her. Whoops, dropped it. She did really well and fell asleep within the first 10 minutes without hardly any cries. Just a quick update about today. Today we went into the garden of Bailey's mum's house. To continue the sleep training with her naps, I brought the pram with me and I literally just put her in it. There was still background noise going on, obviously because there was a pool and all sorts of things, but she managed to get to sleep by herself. It took her a little bit longer, but I just left her in her pram by herself and there was no one looking at her, no one next to her or anything like that. She went to sleep within 15 minutes. So I am so proud of her today. I really feel like the sleep training is working. You've been a good girl, haven't you, today? Are you about to have your bath and go to bed? Are you going to be a good girl tonight? Apologies for my hair being so messy, but I had to record this morning straight after last night because Ava slept all night and didn't even wake up once. Now, she went to bed at about 8:30. She got to sleep, but yeah, about 8:30 she got to sleep, and she went all the way through till 6:30 this morning, and I was just gobsmacked. I kept waking up in the night thinking, is she okay? I had to actually check her breathing at one point because it just didn't feel right. It's the first time she's ever done this, so I'm so proud of her. And I think the reason why that was is because I gave her solid food quite late last night, so it was probably about 6 o'clock that she ate it. I switched round her last breastfeed and her last solid food. I gave her breastfeed about 4:30 and I gave her solid food about, I think it was about 6. So I think that has made a difference, and I think I'm going to continue to do that if that's the way it is, because she obviously wasn't hungry in the night and didn't need to wake up for a feed. I am so happy. I feel refreshed this morning, other than my hay fever, but I can't tell you how happy I am with her. Did you sleep all night? Did you sleep all night, you big girl? Not even waking up once? So I've now left the room. She's not gone to sleep yet, so this is now what I'm going to start to do. Halfway through, when she's almost asleep, I'm going to leave her to go to sleep, just because I want her to start to get used to me not being there and falling asleep. So I'm really hoping that tonight we have another night exactly the same as last night, because I am so happy. I am still quite tired, just because waking up at 6:15, 6:30 in the morning is still quite tiring when you've not napped all day. But I don't mind that at all, because I'm so thankful that you even slept through the night. Yes, you're a big girl now. Right, so Ava has just had her bottle and she's going in her bed now. We always get a few burps out of you, and then we have our little evening cuddle, don't we? Little cuddle before you go into your bed. We love you. Now in bed. We'll see how long it takes for you to go to bed this time. Today I was only in there for about 3 minutes of her trying to go to sleep. I then left the room and she cried quite a bit. I went in to check on her twice. All I did is put her dummy back in, tell her I love her. I held her hand for about 30 seconds and then left the room. Did that twice and I think she's asleep. I'm just going to go and check now. So last night didn't quite go how I wanted it to go. She didn't sleep through the night again, which I didn't think she would. I thought it was just a one-off, just a coincidence, and I was right. So she woke up at 2:30 and then again at 5:10, and at the 5:10 one I fed her, and one sec. Oh, hay fever. At 5:10 one I fed her, and then I ended up falling asleep and not waking up till about 8. So she ended up staying in my bed for 3 hours last night, which was an accident. But I'm just gonna try again. Just keep trying. That's all I can do. Ava is actually going to my mum's today, so I have told her how I'm sleep training. Actually, she's the one that inspired me to do it, because when Ava went there last week to stay for the day, she came back to me and said that Ava had gone to sleep herself with my mum laying next to her without any cries. And I thought, you know what, that's it. She can't be a bad girl for me and a good girl for my mum. So that's when I started sleep training her. So my mum does know how I'm sleep training her, and she is going to continue to do that. Now, it's been a week since that happened, so week 2 I said that I was just going to leave the room and check on her, and that's what I'm going to do. So tonight's the first night where I'm going to leave Ava to get herself to sleep, although it looks like she's already going to sleep. I have got her fresh bed sheets, which look really cozy, and I've gone for a grey theme this week, and just gonna see how it goes. But like I said, I think she's falling asleep already because she's quite tired tonight, so I don't know whether it's gonna work, but we'll just see anyway. I'm annoyed with Ava because we didn't have a very good night last night. She woke up at about 2 o'clock, and I fed her and fell asleep, and then Bailey came to bed about 2:30. So I put her back in the bed, in her bed I mean, and she was slept for about 15 minutes, and then she woke up and she started moaning, but I just left her, and it took 2 hours and she still hadn't gone to sleep, and it was getting light outside, and I gave in and brought her into my bed. Now, I don't know whether she was still hungry, that's the reason why, so I did feed her and then she went to sleep, but I was exhausted because she was awake for 2 hours, and she has a very guilty look on her face. Yeah. It's not fair on Mummy. Get really tired. And you must be tired too, because you've been awake for 2 hours in the night. So I've begun the journey of leaving Ava to go to sleep herself. Now, it looks like it's taking a little bit more time than I expected. I thought that because last week I was going out the room as she's falling asleep, I thought it would maybe help, but it doesn't look like it is. And I think particularly last night I may have messed the whole thing up, which I'm a bit frustrated about, but I'm just going to persist with it because that's all I can do. So that took about 15 minutes, which actually was better than I thought it was, but it was just more that she was moaning and then like crying a little bit more. So if that's what it takes, then that's what it's going to take. I'm sure she'll get used to it in the end. But let's just see how much she sleeps for, because last night was not a good night. I can imagine she's probably tired, the same as me. So, but I'm about to film another video which will be out before this video, pros and cons of being a young mum. So if you haven't seen that, it's weird saying this, but if you haven't seen that, I will link it down in the description below, because it's going to be an interesting one. So I'm just going to get ready and film that now, and I'm sure she'll probably wake up while I'm halfway through it. So Ava just self-soothed the best she's ever done before. I think she was quite tired. She's been very sleepy today because of last night, and so have I, but I just put her down, and within I think 4 minutes she was asleep. So naps are going really well. I really feel like she's napping longer. I feel like she's having a more decent sleep, and she's feeling more refreshed after. So that's definitely working. It's just the night times we've got to crack now. The hardest bit is the night times. So it took Ava an hour and 15 minutes to get to sleep tonight. Now, must just be a one-off. I don't know whether I've jinxed it, because earlier on I said how she's cracked the self-soothing part of it. but she did have a nap really late because she was so tired. She didn't even finish her dinner, and the second I put her in a cot, she was literally asleep in seconds. So that was quite late, and I only let her nap for about 20 minutes and I woke her up because I didn't want this situation to happen. But it's taken an hour and 15 minutes. It's now 9:15 and she's finally asleep, I think. I mean, actually I thought she was asleep about 45 minutes ago, and then she woke up again, so fingers crossed she's actually asleep now. We had another interesting night last night. It went a bit better than the night before. Ava woke up for a feed at 1. She then woke up again at 2:30, and she was wide awake again. She was making me and Bailey laugh quite a lot actually, but we just left her and she managed to get herself back to sleep after about 45 minutes. I didn't have to bring her in the bed again because she'd just been fed. I knew she wasn't hungry, so I just was trying to be as strict as possible. And it's really hard in the middle of the night when you just want to go back to sleep, but it worked, and hopefully she'll understand now that I'm not going to cuddle her when she wakes up. So I'm going to try and limit her naps today, and hopefully she won't wake up like that again. So I'm not sure what's happened today because Ava has napped so much. Like, we couldn't even wake her up. Like, she slept half an hour this morning for her first nap. Then she went to sleep at 1, and we tried to wake her up at 2 o'clock. And she literally, she just wouldn't wake up. Like, her eyes were just shutting every time she looked at us. She looked so tired. Yes, you did. Yeah. So we let her sleep, and she actually slept for 2 hours for her second nap, which she's never ever napped that much before. Even when she was a newborn, she napped 2 hours occasionally, but it would usually be about an hour and a half. So that was a bit of a shock, and I had to keep checking on her. And then I thought that would be the end of her naps, but she ended up sleeping again at about 5 o'clock, and I had to wake her up again at 5:30 because I didn't want her to nap too much, because I don't want her to not sleep tonight. And now she seems very awake, but I don't know what the reason for this was. Like, I don't know if it's because we've had a bad couple of nights, the last 2 nights, and maybe she's trying to make up for it, or if she's not feeling 100%. Like, babies can't tell you, can they, when they're not feeling great? So I'm just hoping that tonight's not a bad night again, because it's almost like she's not sleeping properly at night but sleeping extra in the day. So I need to try and cut that down, but it's just really hard, especially when your baby just won't wake up. So we'll just see how it goes. Self-soothing is going great today. She's completely doing it by herself. I don't even have to be in the room now. But that's it, really. That's the catch up for today. Let's just hope tonight's okay. So I'm beginning to be really rubbish with recording for this video, and I don't even know whether I'm going to post it because there's a few days missing. But I just wanted to quickly say that I have struggled the last couple of days. I had a bit of a headache last night, and at 2 o'clock when Ava woke up, I didn't want to be awake. And also, I feel like Ava's a bit cold at night. Now I need to sort out how I'm going to make her a bit warmer, because last night she just seemed like she was a bit cold, so I ended up bringing her in bed with me. I know it's bad, but when I've got a headache, I just wanted her to be in bed, and she was cold. I felt really guilty leaving her in her own bed. So she did actually sleep quite well. She fed twice again last night, but like I said, first week was me laying next to her. Second week was her trying to self-soothe without me being there, which she is starting to get, and that is what we're on now. On Friday is when I'm going to start to sort out the nighttime feeds. So in a way, it is going to plan, but at the same time, I just thought I was cracking the nighttime bit, and then now I've not cracked it. I've gone back to how it was before. Ava's naps have also changed recently. She's now gone from 3 naps to 2 naps, but she's going for longer. She used to nap 3 times for about 45 minutes, whereas now she's napping twice for about an hour to 2 hours each time. But I'm trying not to let her nap more than 3 hours a day in total because I just want her to be able to sleep at night. So I'm going to wake her up now. She did fall asleep when we went for a walk. Sausage. Baby. Ava. Ava. She's like a big teddy bear. Ava, baby. This is what I mean. It's so hard to like wake her up at the moment. I don't know why she just naps so much in the day, but I'm trying to limit it because I want her to sleep more at night. Oh, come on, sausage. Last night I did better. I didn't bring her in the bed until like this morning at about 6 o'clock. So I managed to keep her in her bed, but she did wake up between, I think she woke up at 12 o'clock, and then I fed her and put her back, and then she also woke up at 2 o'clock. I fed her, she fell asleep in the bed, but I put her back rather than keeping her in the bed, and she woke up and was awake until about 3 o'clock in the morning. So I just left her and eventually she went back to sleep. So I'm not surprised she's tired today because she was awake for a bit last night, and then she woke up at 6 again and put her in our bed and went back to sleep for another hour before she woke up again. I'm sorry I haven't really recorded. I've really been suffering with my neck at the moment, and it got to the point this morning I was actually in tears because it was so painful. But I've been prescribed some medication, but I'm really anxious about taking it because I've been prescribed codeine and diazepam. But the codeine I wouldn't be able to feed Ava with, and diazepam makes you really tired. So I'm waiting until Ava has her food, which she is having now. And then Bailey's just going to take over for the evening and night time, and I'm going to take this diazepam. It's a muscle relaxant, so I'm hoping that's going to help. I really don't know what's wrong with my neck. It's a very stiff pain. I can't seem to move my neck very far at all. But I just wanted to update you guys and just let you know that Ava is still continuing to do her self-soothing, and she did well last night. She slept until 1 o'clock. She woke up and I just touched her stomach, just gave her a little touch on the chest, and I held her hand for about 2 minutes, and then she went back to sleep again. And then she woke up again at about 5, I'd say, or 6. And then I brought her into my bed. Now, I don't mind bringing her into my bed about 6 o'clock because like it's still, I'd consider that morning. The only reason I bring her into my bed at that time is because I know that she'll sleep longer if I do that, whereas if I left her, she'd wake up and not go back to sleep. Like I said before, last night went really well actually. I took a diazepam at about 7 o'clock, and then I went to sleep about 10, and Ava slept from 8:30 until 4 o'clock this morning, and I had frozen some expressed milk that I unfroze. Was that defrosted? And then Bailey fed that to her at about 4 o'clock this morning and gave her a quick cuddle, and then she went back to sleep within about 15-20 minutes. Now I don't know whether I might continue to do that. Maybe I'm going to stop breastfeeding in the night because maybe it's the bottle that helped. I really don't know. I feel like one day it works, the next day it doesn't, so it's really hit and miss at the moment. But I really want to try and get her to sleep through the night. That is my main aim next week. Tonight I tried something different. We've progressed so far, going from having to be fed or rocked to sleep, so now she's able to self-soothe with a dummy, but I want her to know how to self-soothe without the dummy as well and get herself to sleep. Now I knew this would be a bit of a struggle, but it's taken about half an hour max for her to go to sleep, and I haven't not given her the dummy, but when she has the dummy she often spits it out. So what I've done is I've put it back in a couple of times and I just left her. She cried for a little while, but she's now gone to sleep without the dummy, so I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to give her the dummy until she's nearly asleep and then just not give her the dummy. Now, it's been a few days since I stopped recording, and
I basically stopped breastfeeding and weaned myself off of it. And now I'm not promoting that you should do this. I think breastfeeding is the best thing for your baby, but it's honestly helped Ava sleep through the night so much, and I'm personally quite glad that I did do it. I think it was time because Ava wasn't really getting much from breastfeeding anymore, so I stopped it. But I'm just showing now the routine that I usually do now before she goes to bed, and I'll just let her self-soothe, and now she doesn't wake up until 7 the next day. Final update on the situation. It has now been about 2 weeks since I've been doing the final stage of sleep training. So she can now self-soothe, one. She can also now pretty much sleep through the night. So last night she went from, I think she fell asleep at about 9 o'clock in the end, and she woke up at 7 with no wake ups. So I'm really proud the fact that I have gone from co-sleeping, and within a month she now sleeps in her own bed through the night mostly. The max she'll wake up is once, which I don't feed anymore. And the main thing that has changed that is me stopping breastfeeding. And I am not trying to stop people from breastfeeding in any way, but personally for me, I found that at 6 months, it was the right time to stop breastfeeding, and it has made such a difference to Ava's sleep. So I think having formula feeds has filled her belly up more, and she doesn't wake up for feeds in the night. And if she does wake up, it's usually about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, in which case I just do bring her into my bed, but I am absolutely fine with that. It just depends on what you're happy with and how you want your baby to sleep. So if she does wake up, I just bring her into the bed and she'll go back to sleep until around 7 or 8 o'clock. So I'm really feeling more refreshed. I feel like I have more sleep, and looking back at how I was sleeping before, I actually don't know how I did it. So we've gone from waking up at seven times sometimes in the night to now not waking up at all. So I think everyone, it's just about perseverance, and when you're ready as well, the time needs to be right for both of you. I hope you've enjoyed the video today and that it has been informative, and it may give you a bit of help or some advice. If you have any questions, then please don't hesitate to contact me.